remodel. You remodel your deck, so you can change cards drastically. So you can choose cards that don't use or you don't use very often to cards that you will use in the future. Example, you can remodel or trash a gold card to become a province card for a rush win. If you have multiple remodels, you can remodel other remodels, like to get a gold. Is the Smithy. Basically, this card is self-explanatory. You gain +3 cards. There's no real cons to this card. The next one is called the Spy. I call this card, here, let me be annoying and look at your cards card. This allows you to view everyone's top card, and you get to choose whether or not they get to play that card or not. So, yeah, and you also get +1 card, +1 action, so you can do multiple spies in one time to be extra annoying. I personally, when I play with this card, I never play it because I know that how annoying it is. It can be powerful if you are smart about it. But typically, if you just are curious on what the card is for the next player, this can be useful to you. The next card is the Thief. You can look at the top 2 cards on everyone's decks. Now, if there's any treasures, you may trash. Let me double check. Trash one of your choice of each player. Once you trash these, you can actually put these into your hand. So if they have any golds or silvers that you want to have yourself, be a pain in the ass as well, then you can do that and basically become a hoarder. The cons, you want to be careful purchasing these because it may cause your opponents to gang up on you in spite of your thievery. It's true. This happens a lot. Not a joke. The next card is the Throne Room. Pretty powerful card altogether. If you see this card play on one of your games, it's most likely going to be used. The pros of this card is very powerful card when used precisely. It can double any action card that you can do anything it says twice. Example would be Throne Room plus a Smithy. So let me get one of those cards. Let's say I put a Throne Room down, and then I put a Smithy down as well, right on top of it. That means this Smithy is actually +6 cards instead of 3. So this card can be crazy if you want it to be. The cons of this card is that it can actually be worthless if you have no action cards or pretty weak action cards to use it with. So you want to have a balanced number of Throne Rooms and action cards if you want to do that right. Is the Council Room. I call this card, I'm going to boost myself and help you guys a little bit too card. This allows you to gain 4 cards and an additional buy on your turn, but consequently this card allows all other players to play with 1 additional card on their turn. It's just a little boost to help you out. The cons of this card, it helps other players and it's kind of expensive to be helping out other players. But if you're playing a rush game, like if you want to go really fast, then this is the card to play. The next one is the Festival, one of my other favorites. Very self-explanatory. You get +2 actions, +1 buy, and +2 treasures during your turn. You can play multiple of these. That's why they're so powerful too. I mean, they're fairly expensive to get just +2, but if you have other cards in your hand, it can be very, very effective. The cons, I wouldn't say there's not that many cons, except it doesn't give you another card. If it was, it would be probably a cost 7 card instead of a 5, but that's what it is. This next card is the Laboratory. The Laboratory, this is what I call the Factory Worker card. The card allows you to get tons of cards in your hand. especially if you pull multiples of the same card in one turn. So let's say you have like a laboratory, and then you have another one in your hand, another laboratory, and another laboratory, and another laboratory. You basically have like 8 to 10 cards in your hand just by doing that. So this just allows you to get a ton of cards in your hand, gives you more variety or options to play with. The cons of this card: doesn't do much else other than put cards in your hand, and it's kind of expensive to get. The next card is the library. Pros of this card is you draw until you have 7 cards in your hand. This is a useful card to have if you were attacked by a militia. So let's say you are down 3 cards, but you keep this card in your hand. You can play this, and it will give you 7 cards instead. So it is also useful to combine it with a village card right at the beginning. So village and then library. Because then you can choose which action card you will pull in your hand if you choose to do so. The cons of this card: if you pull victory cards after playing a library, so let's say you want to put 3 more cards into your hand, if you pull victory cards, you have to put them in your hand, acting as 1 card. So that can be bad. This next card is the market. I like saying the before every card. It's actually called market. I'm sorry. This is what I call the Jack of all trades card. This card basically does everything weekly. Plus 1 card, plus 1 action, plus 1 buy, plus 1 treasure. So it just does everything. A lot of people tend to go towards this card because it has so many things on it. The fact is, the more you play Dominion, the more you actually learn that even though it is a pretty good card for purchasing for 5, it tends to be not a total knockout. It's kind of like an additional filler with some extra stuff with it, if that totally makes sense. I don't know if that did, but it looks pretty nice. It's just you have to have a lot of them to even make it usable to win. The next card is the mine. The mine is pretty awesome as well. What I call this one is the Remodel card for treasures only card. So it's kind of like remodeling, but you only can do treasures. But you can actually upgrade your treasures, let's say from a copper, blip, and you put down mine. You can trash your copper, blip, it becomes a 2, and you can actually put it into your hand instead of the discard pile. So then you can play a 2, bloop, and then it's done. Same goes for the 2 to a 3, or gold, or several silver to a gold. So that's mine. Once you have a ton of gold in your hand, this card kind of becomes worthless. So get rid of it as soon as you can. The next card, which is one of the craziest cards, I think, is the Witch. It gives you +2 cards, and every player gains a curse. It basically just gives you -1 at the end of the game for every victory card that you have. It also makes your deck very dull and can slow you down. And so if you have a bunch of these, you're bound to get at least 1 or 2 every time you pull a hand of 5. So it can slow a lot of people down. Next and last but not least card is called the Adventurer. The pros is that this allows you to go through your deck to find 2 treasures and put it into your hand. This card is great when you have some or even tons of silvers or golds in your hand. Or if you have so many action cards that you really need the extra gold or silver during your turn. This really helps out. The cons of this card can mess up your flow by discarding cards that you would have played, but instead you get those sought after treasure cards. But if you really only have treasure cards, and this card can really be very dominant. So if you have a bunch of golds and then you have a bunch of adventurer cards, you're pretty much going to have crazy odds unless they start attacking you, basically. Alright, so you've seen all the cards. You've been spoiled. So now you know all the cards, what they look like, what they do, and hopefully you see all the strategies that are involved with these cards so you can figure out your own strategies to the game. So yeah, you've been spoiled by Dominion. I would purchase the game, play with your friends, see what kind of strategies that they come up with, and you counteract them. It's pretty fun that way. And hopefully you can actually teach these action cards to your family and friends as well, as though you're a master. So we'll see you next time, and thanks for watching.